Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast that wrecks phone boxes expecting chickens but winds up with criminal charges. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Luvva Luvva, and with me are my co hosts.
Yes, indeed. How you doing, Luvva? Cardinal Smith here. Good to see you.
Tomahawk here. Good to be back. Another week, another gaming challenge, boys. How are we doing?
Yeah,
Bring it.
good. Good. It's a big one this week. It's a good challenge this week. Obviously, at the end of the last episode, I said it was Streets of Rage 4, and that is indeed. But there is an extra twist to this saucy episode, but we'll get to that. When we get to that, first and foremost, for our new listeners, what is High Scores, High Stakes? High Scores,
Oh,
High Stakes is four friends playing PlayStation games. Every week, a new game. Every week, we play a gameplay challenge on that game, and we are competing against each other for the High Scores, High Stakes Cup. The winner of the challenge gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point, and last place gets no points. The league, after 8 games, looks like this. In fourth place, with 12 points, is Mr. John Sherry. Third place, on 18 points, is Cardinal Smith. In second place, on 23 points, is Tomahawk. But leading the way, still been there since day one, going to be there day 12. It is me with 24, holding on by the skin of my teeth, but I am still holding on, looking down on the
Chipping
rest of
away.
us.
We're chipping away anyway. It's all about the long term storytelling. This is what it is.
that is it. That is it. The long term storytelling has been me leading the way from the beginning. At one point, I was on a 7 week streak. Those days are
and
coming
then that
back.
stopped.
But we don't talk about that. It's not canon.
Those days are coming back. And speaking of things coming back, it's our housekeeping. So you're listening to this, you're thinking these boys are good crack. Where can I find more of them on the internet? Easy peasy. High scores, highstakes.com. There you'll find a whole heap of articles. There is more coming, promise. But more importantly than that, on top of the page, you will find a load of links to our social media. So there is links to our Twitter, to our Twitch, to our Instagram, to our Discord, which is also in the description of this episode and every episode. So get over there and join the conversation with other members of the High Scores High Stakes community. And also a link to our YouTube, where Cardinal has been diligently putting out updates to our season long challenge, which is, of course, a 500 move maximum game of Civilization 6. And it's going swimmingly. It is going
Fantastic
swimmingly.
stuff.
So if you want to know how we're getting on with Civilization 6, get yourself over to highstakes.com, click on the YouTube link, and check out those videos. If you're already following us on all the social medias and you haven't yet liked, followed, or subscribed to this podcast, depending on where you're listening to it, then make sure you do that now. If you've done that and you haven't left a review, feel free to leave a 5-star review or whatever star you think the podcast is deserving of. And finally, if you've done that and you haven't told family or friends about the podcast, well, you have all week to do that. And with all of that out of the way, we are going to our question of last week. So our question of
What
last
was our
week,
question of last week?
our question of last week
Is there an echo here?
was do you prefer our AAA game challenges or our indie game challenges? And you know how many responses we got? We got none.
We got one.
I'll
We
tell
got
you my
one.
response.
We
We
got
got
an
one.
Instagram reply. Yes.
Go on ahead,
Oh,
Tomahawk. What was that?
We had Matt Davis. He messaged that we should think about bringing Sifu into the podcast.
Ooh.
So I've only played about a couple of minutes of this, and it looks like a pretty horrible beat 'em up slash mental health draining kind of game. And this is what we're all about at High Scores, High Stakes.
It
Isn't it?
is. It is. It's a good game.
yes.
When that came out,
Self-inflicted pain.
I played lots of it. Haven't played it since then, but yeah, we'll certainly look into it. Actually, it'd be a
As
good
soon as it
challenge
came
game.
on the PlayStation Plus, I was just like, download it. It looks good. A lot of people have aired their, no, I don't say their grievances about it, but have aired about how difficult the game is and how difficult the game can
Mhm.
be. So bring it on. I say let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, it is a roguelike, and it is a Souls-like in certain ways. It's a good game, though. Yeah, we'll certainly get into it. But we also had a poll of the week. And poll of the week was, where is Mr. John Sherry? And there was three choices you could have made here. In my basement, lost in time and space, or I don't know. And we got responses to that one. And the winner is, of course, the correct answer for the second week running. Mr. John Sherry is indeed lost in time and space.
Hey, it's the only logical
Nightmare.
answer.
Yep, it's like the end of Interstellar. That's where Sherry is.
Really?
Yes,
He's only
he's.
communicating to us via leaving dust in
Hmm.
amongst books on a bookshelf.
Yep, and
We haven't
leaving
been looking closely enough.
and
Shouting at
leaving.
himself, playing the PlayStation.
That's it.
No, no, no.
Communicating through dust and also gameplay challenges that he uploads to the YouTube every week. So wherever you are, Sherry, we know you can hear us, but we have yet to hear you. So please find a way out the fourth dimension or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't really understand Interstellar, to be honest. But speaking of things I don't understand, Cardinal, tell me, what are you playing?
Oh, right. I thought this was going to be the week. This was going to be the episode. I'm going to tell you Final Fantasy 16's been completed, and the PlayStation tells me you're 95% of the way through.
Oh,
So
Okay,
close.
and the final mission shows up on the map,
mm-hmm.
and there's like a meeting of characters, and they all go on their separate ways, and each single character has a side quest that you can do
Ooh, lovely.
that
Of
opened up,
course.
and suddenly I can't go to the final mission. I can, but I can't because I won't let myself because I have to finish all the side
Do you
quests.
get like loyalty bonuses for the characters if you do their side quests, that sort of thing? Or
No,
oh,
no,
okay,
you
they're just
get there's a bit more lore, there's a bit more content of story. Mainly, there's a lot more XP,
Mm-hmm.
but I've done every side quest up till now. I'm not going to stop right at the end.
I hope that Final Fantasy 16 is going to do the Hogwarts Legacy approach and make you 100% the game before they let you attempt the final mission, just for banter.
That would be funny. It's right there. I can see it in the middle of the map. I can go to the map, click it, go to the final mission. But I'm just stopping myself, and I've worked out I'm 1 hour and 47 minutes away from finishing the game,
Oh,
Oof,
so
that is close.
close.
and that's the cardinal factor. Next week,
Next week, we'll still be talking about how he hasn't finished the game.
He's been so
So
emotionally invested in everyone's side quest, he can't dare finish the game.
that is it. That is
let
it.
me go.
Well, since Cardinal's out the way, Tomahawk, tell me, what are you playing?
uh, Fallout New Vegas,
Mhm.
because why not?
Ooh.
Lovely.
I started off with Fallout 4 and then just kind of went, actually, New Vegas is better, and it's available to stream on Plus anyway, so I thought just have a bash at it. I was chatting to a few boys in the Discord earlier today about this actually, because I don't remember an awful lot about it. It still feels like a fresh blind playthrough, which I'm all for.
Lovely.
I'm just kind of going in with this one with I'll do the sort of tutorial mission, but beyond that, I'm kind of all about chaos this time round. I'm kind of not putting any allegiance to this sort of true narrative, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. I'm just gonna see how my first impulse takes me.
Oh,
And it still looks great, to
Oof.
be fair. It still looks absolutely stunning, and it's so bright and vibrant, like for the most part, at least anyway.
I mean, for a game, it's 99.7% brown. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, its color palette is brown. But
It's
yeah,
bright brown.
it is. It's saturated. I would say that it is. Yeah, it's a great game. It is a great game. So it is. If only it ran better, is my only
That's
takeaway
it.
from it.
It still is a bit juddery, to
Oh,
say
it's
the least, but I think that goes with the sheer age of the game at this point.
I mean, there's older games that run better. And let's be honest here. It's
It's very true.
Bethesda not supporting their games and expecting their community to do it for them. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that
Is
game
it is
deserves
Fallout
better.
New Vegas Bethesda?
It's
Is
Bethesda
it?
Obsidian. It's one
ZeniMax
and the same,
companies,
really.
yeah, yeah, they're all ZeniMax.
Oh, published by.
Hmm.
It is a superior title. I think we've established this across the social medias over the last couple of weeks anyway. And the consensus seems to be New Vegas is the GOAT.
It's the closest one to an RP. It's the closest one to the original two in the 3D era. It's definitely the best 3D Fallout.
Aye.
Definitely, definitely.
Whereas I think what Fallout 4 kind of was failing me is that it gave you this kind of character with a backstory and a narrative and a purpose. Whereas this one, I was just like, do what you want, don't do what you want, doesn't really matter. Your limit is your imagination in this
Yeah.
this instance.
Yeah, and it'll give you like little breadcrumbs. Like at the start of the game, it's like, don't go that way because there's death claws. So you instinctively go, I'll go that way, and yeah, get absolutely
Aye.
annihilated by death claws. It's a good game. It just lets you do whatever you want, and there's very little barriers in that game,
Yeah.
which is great. It is a great, great game. I think it was made. Obsidian are made up from former Black Isle developers who developed the original two. So
Oh, okay.
that's why it's
That's
so
as close
close.
to the okay. At that with that sort of core heart to the game then. Okay.
Yep, yep. So
Topical.
Fallout New Vegas. I have also been playing a Fallout game this week. However, it is not New Vegas. It is 76, Fallout 76. Um, the
Mamma
community
mia.
s- the community spoke and legally obliged to play what they tell me to play. It's interesting. I don't know if it's actually a good Fallout game, but it's fun.
I mean,
It
it's
is
more
a lot
like
of
a
fun.
live service thing, isn't it? It's like come together again. You don't necessarily have to follow much of the story. It's kind of just come together with your vault chums and just meander through
And
the
then play the
woods.
game.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, yeah. It's decent. It is decent, and as I said, it is really good fun. But it's just so many things. It's like, oh yeah, now you have to go do this, but nothing on the map is labeled. It's just little pictures, and it's like,
Is
where do you want me to go? Like, if you go to the bar where you have to set up like a fake treasure shop in order to get the outlaws to come to you, so you can get information from them. It's just like, oh yeah, you can do that, can't you? And it's like, uh, I don't know what you're asking me to. I don't know what you're asking me to do. I honestly have no idea what you asked me to do. So
Is
you
it a case of the game being as not old, but
no, it's
established that maybe that there's a big dump of activities and we're just kind of bogged down in the you're bogged down with things to do straight away? No.
no, it's not. It's I have no issue with having lots to do. What I do have an issue with is the game saying you have to do this in order to progress the storyline, but it gives you nothing else. It's like go and do this, and the way they give you that quest, it's quite funny. You go into the bar, there's a guy trying to start a fight. You kill him, talk to the bartender, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's more of them. But if you can get information and get them to stop coming here, that would be great. All you need to do is this. I need you to make a fake shop and then get information from them as they come to you." And I was like, "Oh, in a bar," and then it's like, "Bye." And then you step outside, and it's like make a fake shop, but there's no indicator of how you do that, where you're meant to do that, what are you meant to do when it's done. It's really bad design, and it's like if you need help, go speak with this girl who's also in the bar, and he tells you how to use like your camp, which is you make your own sort of camp. and but but he only tells you how to open it. He doesn't tell you what you
amazing.
need to have the shop. It tells you, the game tells you nothing. Like that one mission, which should have took 2 minutes,
It's tutorial, like essentially.
it took me an hour. I had to go on YouTube to see what the game wanted me to do because the game told me nothing.
The camp
That's
drop-down menu gives you
That-
like a quest-specific tab, doesn't it? And you have, but then
no.
I think I tried it and it was like, oh, you need this material. I'm going, well, I don't have that, so
It-
I'm not going to
but
go
you,
and build
but
it.
you do have it because the bartender gives you it, but the game doesn't tell you she gave you it. And when you go to the quest, it doesn't have everything you need to do. It is apart from that, and the game does it repeatedly. Oh, you need to go do this for me. Go do that, and fair enough. A lot of it makes sense. A lot of it. Oh, you need to go find this girl beside the river. The river runs through the entire map. And it just so happens really, really close to where you get that. But do you know what I mean? Oh, you need to go to
We do.
the farm shop. It's like, where's that?
Yeah,
Where's that?
We do. And for context for our listeners, we were all four of us,
But it's
even
great.
John Sherry,
that
were
was
playing
good fun.
Fallout 76 just last night. And there was a few situations such as Luvva, here, come help me with a quest that I don't have. And there was a Deathclaw Island,
Yeah,
right? And
Deathclaw
funnily enough,
Island.
there was a big Deathclaw. Did you actually help me fight that Deathclaw, or were
Well,
you running away?
this is the thing.
'Cause I dropped out at this point here, and all I got was
Yeah.
messages from Sherry and Cardinal just going, "Run away!" Ah!
I literally said to Cardinal, "Here's the crack. There's going to be Deathclaws over here. We're going to run in, grab the egg, run out. We are not engaging the Deathclaw. Big man
I
over
think
here.
Deathclaw
Yeah.
wanted to engage with us.
Big man. Yeah, but you just run. They can't swim. Just run."
Can they
And
not?
Cardinal did not run. Cardinal decided to open fire on Deathclaw. And in
Oh,
fairness,
amazing! Did he do the Tomahawk approach in Back for Blood? Yeah,
just
Oh,
bunny hops.
unleash fury. Now, for all of its downfalls, my big issue with it is when it gives you a mission, it doesn't tell you what the mission is or how you're meant to achieve it. Everything else about it is perfectly fine. It's really good fun, and there's a lot to it. And I can see myself spending a lot of hours in the world of Fallout 76. That is my big sticking point, and it is pure bad design.
I think there's part of that comes from what Fallout 76 was at the start, and there were no NPCs,
Yeah, and that's it.
right? And
Oh,
it's like
really?
Yes.
how you came out of the vault, and it was just, this is the Fallout world.
Oh, wow, that seems a bit.
Nothing. Live your life.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
go enjoy the world.
Yeah.
Now
So
they've added NPCs to give it something to do.
to do.
Like these missions are new essentially in terms.
Yeah. And that's why I think the game is the way it is. So the game was structured to not have missions like the bar. So they've retrospectively wedged in a single player storyline, but there was no mechanisms in place for quest giving. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's really good fun. I will play more of it because I had a blast playing with you three last night. It was really good
Yeah.
fun. And the community's great.
It was.
The community is great.
Everyone's so helpful. Like they'll just like leave bits and pieces around at camps and like boxes and whatnot for ammo. And I think I'm walking around with a like a 357, but with like 1,000 rounds of ammunition. So
Unreal.
it's so handy to have, and everyone who's like maximum level or much higher skill set are just leaving bits and pieces for everyone because there's no like level lock on items.
No, you
Which
can
is
use
even
whatever you
better.
want. Yeah, it's great. It is good fun. It is really good fun. But that's what I have been playing. Let's move this on to a game that we've all been playing. And that is,
What
of
have we?
course, the seminal, soon to be all time classic, Streets of Rage 4. Let's get there now. So, our challenge game this week has a wee bit of extra zest on the recipe. It is a double game week. And the challenge is Streets of Rage 4, Mr. X's Nightmare survival mode. So basically, it is a roguelike of sorts. You beat a wave of enemies. You'll get a choice between 2 or 3 perks. Pick one, next wave. And so on until you cannot defeat all the enemies. So we are giving points to the player who gets to the highest wave and the player who gets the highest score, which may or may not be the same player, because there's a
Is
lot of
that not
ways
who
of
gets the furthest is going to get the highest score?
no,
Not
no.
necessarily.
So
no.
Really?
the way the scoring works is you'll get points for every enemy beaten, you'll get points for every piece of scenery destroyed, points for picking up helpful items, so like healing items, like the apples or the chickens or the bags of money or the suitcases of money. You can also get multiplier for score. So you can one of the perks
Like
is a
scores, combo,
multiplier
that
for
kind of stuff.
score.
Yeah, yeah.
The higher your combo goes, the more points you get. There's a whole rake of way of getting points in Streets Rage 4. So the player who gets to the highest wave could get beaten by another player on score. If the other players are playing it
theory.
right. If the other players are playing it right, yeah. In theory. In theory, there is no correlation between waves and score. They're two very distinct
Okay.
metrics.
Nice.
However, in saying that, it is Streets of Rage 4, which suggests to me that there were 3 previous Streets of Rage. So, Cardinal, Tomahawk, tell me, what's your past with Streets of Rage?
Can I go first, or do you want to go first? I'm
Hit
gonna
it.
go first. I'm gonna go first. I was 3 years old when Streets of Rage 3 came out, so my knowledge of this franchise came from Luvva and his obsession with Streets of Rage 4, and his ever so slightly, let's put it on the podcast. Let's put it on the podcast. So I purchased Streets of Rage 4 exclusively for the podcast. That is my entire history of this franchise.
My goodness.
This is
Cardinal.
what happens when you're the baby of the group. I
Oh,
just
good Lord.
in
My
my
goodness.
infancy.
Tomahawk is
Cardinal
younger.
Grandpa here. Yeah. My history is I remember Streets of Rage, and I remember my older brother borrowing a cartridge to play it, and I know it was in the arcades too, but since then to play it, I think I had the Mega Drive collection.
Okay, yeah.
Look, I mean, I emulated it. I'll be honest, on my laptops and things.
My
Just like everyone.
goodness.
We've got to get him,
Get
guys.
FBI season 3 finally admitted it. But I used the Sega Mega Drive classic collection pack to play a duo with my partner, and we got to the final boss and lost. But that was a great experience. That was good fun.
Yeah. It's
Did
just
that happen? Was that with my partner? Questioning my memory now. I think I got. I've never completed Streets of Rage.
any of them, no.
No, I've only briefly played 2, and I didn't know there was a third until I found out recently with the Streets of Rage 4.
Wow. Okay, right. It's up to me to save this podcast then, for goodness sake. Right. Streets of Rage
Well.
Streets of Rage 1. I remember getting our Sega Mega Drive, and it came with Mega Games 1. Mega Games 1 was a collection of 3 games on one cartridge. It had Streets of Rage 1, Super Hang On, and World Cup Italia 90.
Wow.
Incredible.
And Streets of Rage 1, yes. I remember playing Streets of Rage 1 loads. Me and Sherry, or me and my older brother, played the life out of Streets of Rage 1. Streets of Rage 2 came out, I think it was a year later. And yeah, that was rented every weekend for a brave long time. I also remember me and one of my friends of the time, I was maybe 9 or 10. Streets of Rage came out. Streets of Rage 2. And we really wanted to play Streets of Rage. So we bought a Mega Drive off like another kid on the street for like £10. and and then when the rental van came round, we ran out, rented Streets of Rage 2, and then put it in the Mega Drive. Didn't work. So me and him, screwdrivers in hand, opened up the Mega Drive, prodded about different things, cleaned it all up, put the cartridge in. Bingo, it worked. It worked. And we played the life out of Streets of Rage 2. And then Streets of Rage 3 came out really late in the Mega Drive. I remember renting
It was on the Mega Drive too.
yeah, yeah. It came out
That's
a couple months before the PlayStation 1 came out. Well, in Japan. It was all right. It's fine. It's a better game than what it was given credit for. It's probably, technically speaking, the best Streets of Rage on the Mega Drive, but it's clearly Streets of Rage 2, if that makes any sense. Streets of Rage 2 is not as accomplished as Streets of Rage 3, but somehow Sega ruined the localization for us in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So they did. So Street Rage 1, 1991, Street Rage 2, 1992, Street Rage 3, 1994. Um, Rev, I'm going to give Tom a history lesson because I feel like he needs one. I feel like he needs
I
to
was
know
I was
about
4 months old. I did the date check. I was 4 months old when Streets of Rage
Street
1
Rage
came
1
out.
came
So
out. Right?
and everyone knows like you can never look back, and you can't watch movies from before you're born.
No, you
Exactly. Like
can't. It's
you
illegal.
know,
So I before you give me this history lesson, I need to go back and have a just highlight something in that story. A rental van.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I need what heck
I
like
mean, I
place
remember
do you live?
renting games, DVDs, videos, all that kind of stuff in a fixed location,
yes,
Yeah,
like
we
a
had
Blockbuster or
buildings
an
like
X. Yeah, they
stone,
were
brick, roofs.
yes. So
You know,
they
humans
were
inside.
retail locations. I'm not aware of this
Mhm.
roaming like
okay.
wander and
So rental vans. So obviously they clearly weren't everywhere, but they were where I lived. And it's basically every Friday, like an old library bus would come around the street, but rather than having books, it had movies and
Chickens
video games,
and milk
and it would
bread,
just
and video games.
it would stop on the street for maybe
bootlegs.
5 or 10 minutes. You'd jump
The
on,
horse would stop.
you'd jump on, go through the library of what you wanted, go up to the driver, and you'd pay him £2 for the weekend for the game. It was just like a roving Extravision or Blockbuster for our American listeners.
I have a feeling that this
Oh,
is going to be our
Nelly,
question of
this
the
is the
week
boy
now.
with the
It's
Mega
like
Drive.
this will be our question of the week now. It's like, did you have a roaming delivery rental man?
They existed.
Maybe Luvva grew up in a place where this was ahead of its time. You know, maybe the sort of remote
I mean,
bringing
I'm
I'm
products
like,
to you.
I'm looking
was,
at him tell this story, and the more he talks, the more I can see that he's like, this sounds really mad now that I think about it.
I mean, please tell me you've heard of mobile shops. It was the same
Yeah,
thing. A van
like
that would stop and you could go buy Panini football stickers or whatever it is from them. It's the same concept, only instead of groceries, you could rent video games or VHS tapes. It's how I watched Batman
I came from
Returns for the first time.
a market town, and to be honest, the shops were fixed
fixed
locations.
locations.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
we had fixed shops too, but it's just a van that some entrepreneur was like, if they're not going to come to my rental shop, I'm going to bring my rental shop to them. And it worked a treat. The line to get in this thing every Friday was crazy because it was the best place to get new video games. So if you weren't there first, all the good stuff was gone by the time you got on.
And all 6 kids from the village lined up. Just
But anyway, Streets of Rage. Let's talk about Streets of Rage. as-
Enlightened. I'm absolutely enlightened today. Thank you for that. That was
So Streets
The
of
more you
Rage.
know.
Streets of Rage is one of the most iconic video game franchises that has ever existed. Tomahawk, you should fix
evidently.
your sin of never playing a Streets of Rage until Streets of Rage 4. Right, Streets of Rage 1, designed exclusively because Capcom had Final Fight and Sega, king of the arcade, needed something to compete with Final Fight, so they made Streets of Rage. But Streets of Rage was designed for the Mega Drive. And 1981, Mega Drive was what, 2 years old? And they played it really conservative with it. So Streets of Rage 1 is slightly different to Streets of Rage 2 and 3. The big difference is they limited the number of enemies on screen. And the sprites are really small. And your special moves was a police car would go to a cutscene. Police car would come up, fire a weapon on the screen. It would kill everyone on screen. And that was really it. 3 playable characters: Adam, Axel, Blaze, and 8 levels. Walk from left to right, beat up everyone, take on Mr. X, beat him as well, and arrest him. And that's how the story ends. It's known for 2 things: It was
Spoilers?
it has a really good graphics for its time, and the music was absolutely banging. Street Race
Yeah.
2 came out like 11 months later, where they got to grips. So the team that made it requested from Sega to make a bigger cartridge, so with more memory, more RAM, all that sort of good stuff, so that they could make an arcade game for the Mega Drive. So Sega were like, "Yep, there you go." I think it's 24 megabyte cartridge, enormous, enormous. And they brought
Wow.
with that much larger sprites, more enemies on screen, and they introduced mania mode, which was just chaos. It was just waves of waves of waves of enemies. They did
Okay.
double damage. You took double damage. Your damage output was halved, and it's just a really hard mode. Street Race 2 has one of the greatest soundtracks in video game history. I'm trying to think of the composer's name. Yuzo Koshiro made this amazing soundtrack for it. Street Race 2 is also revolutionary because there was parts of the level where you weren't going from left to right. You would go from top to bottom or from bottom to top. You would walk up and down the screen. So
Oh,
the
okay.
screen would scroll down. You would follow it. Yeah, 4 playable characters in Street Race 2. Blaze, Max, Axel, Blaze, Skate.
Two
Sorry.
blazes. Yeah.
Yeah, Skate, Blaze, Adam. Or Axel and
Blaze,
Max.
Maze,
And
Haze.
the storyline is Mr. X has gotten out of prison. His syndicate have kidnapped Adam, and we have to get him back. And then that went on, I think, as a top 5 seller for the Mega Drive of all time. One of the highest rated games of all time as well. It's a ridiculous scoring game. Street Race 3 came out 2 years later. As I said, they messed up the localization to the West. Basically, what they did was they ramped up the difficulty. So in Japan, Street Race is called Bare Knuckle. So
Okay.
Bare Knuckle 3, the difficulty of very hard mania mode is less than our medium. So they completely they messed it up. They messed it up big time. Big
And
time.
this is how the Soulsborne genre was born.
It's madness. If you pick up the Mega Drive collection for your PlayStation 4 and play Street Race 3 on medium, and
Yeah.
you will get nowhere. But you can change it to the Japanese version, Bare Knuckle 3, and you will play through that game, well, not with ease, but it's way, 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 way easier. They completely messed that up. It was also like really controversial. So Yuzo Koshiro came back to do the music, but he utilized, I'm not going to say AI, but a synthesizer that would randomize music. So he would
Okay.
compose parts of songs, feed it into this synthesizer, which would then rearrange it randomly, and that's the soundtrack for it. The soundtrack for it is wild. Like, it's okay, and you can hear like there's a really good music in there somewhere, but this ain't
Bit
it.
disjointed.
This
Yeah.
ain't it. It got battered in reviews. It's really middle in reviews. It's a better game, technically speaking, than Street Race 2. So they introduced a whole load of stuff. So you have like defensive mode, defensive moves. You have vertical, horizontal defenses. Your your move, double tap forward punch.
Uh-huh.
Your blitz move can be upgraded throughout the story and stuff like that. So your character gets stronger. Some like really, really, really light RPG elements in there. And the levels are really complex. There's like a whole load of traps, maybe too much in certain levels. But the game is actually technically far better than Street Race 2. But because Street Race 2 is perfect with the music, the visuals, the difficulty, Street Race 2 is definitely the best one. But Street Race 3 is a better game than most people would care to admit. And I think retrospectively looking at it, I think there's a lot more sort of appreciation for what Sega did with Street Race 3. It's a fine game. And then that was it. That was it. Once the Saturn came out, Sega didn't want to make any more Streets Rage. Core Design, makers of Tomb Raider, pitched a 3D Streets Rage. Sega asked them to do a prototype. Core showed the prototype publicly in like E3 before it was E3. I can't remember what it was called back in the day. And Sega hated it, told them to pull the plug. But
All right.
Core had made so much of the game, and they just renamed it Fighting Force, and it came out in PlayStation, Saturn, mega hit. But yeah, there was no Streets of Rage. And then 2011, some fan development group wanted to make a Streets of Rage 2 remake, so they made it from the ground up. Released it in 2011. Sega were like, "No, mate." Got a lawyer to send them a cease and desist, and
Oh
there's
dear, of course. Yeah.
there's no trace of that game online, but it officially released, and then that was us until 2020. Street Rage 2 came out. Street Rage 4 came out.
It's a crazy gap, though. You'd wonder, or Sega or whatever, that everyone just went, "Oh, this was popular. Like name out of a hat. Let's just do a sequel."
Well, I think what happened was it was .amu, I think, who sort of drove this project. So they just sort of did like a very loose prototype. This is what we can do, because they made, was it Shanty, isn't it? Them and Way Forward, and Monster Boy 3 and the Monster's Lair. They made that, and then
I'm just
Classics.
gonna gloss over here now. I feel as if his knowledge is wavering at this point.
and and then
Here, I don't know where.
they were like, "We this is what we could do with Streets of Rage if you let us." And Sega were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was a mega hit. 2.5 million copies sold in the first year. Done. And it's a great game. Streets of Rage 4 is the best game in the series. In fact, I would go as far as saying Streets of Rage 4 is the best scroll and beat 'em up ever made. Easily. It's not even
And
close.
that has been said, I think, on more than one occasion. So it must be true.
It's amazing.
It's true.
It is amazing. It took one of the most basic genres and turned it into like a proper fighting game. It's way more complex than it looks. There's a
Mhm.
lot
Oh yeah,
more.
definitely. What I have played of it, sort of battered through the story a bit more. This survival mode as well. Like really enjoyable. We've tried a few other like scroll and beat 'em ups. We did like we've tried like Ninja Turtles. We've tried like Scott Pilgrim and stuff. They are without not without fault.
Mhm.
Scott Pilgrim has some major faults,
Major
but this
faults.
one is I think this one is the smoothest. And there is a bit of a resurgence. This has become one of those. I think it must be like a fan service thing. It's like all these people who are now grown up and grew up with these franchises and games and genres are like, oh, I want to play them again, but I want to play them in better graphics, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, Turtles: Shredder's Revenge is a really good fighting game, but it's just not as good as Streets of Rage 4. It just isn't. It's great,
Yeah.
and it has a lot to like about it. But Streets of Rage 4 is just far more accomplished. Far more accomplished. But anyway, enough of the history lesson. I've droned on for enough about Streets of Rage. Play them. Honestly, play them any way you can. Play them. Streets of Rage 1's good. Streets of Rage 2 is great. Streets of Rage 3 is very good. And Streets of Rage 4 is just incredible. So, recap Streets of Rage 4, survival mode. Person who gets to the highest wave gets 3 points. Second highest, 2 points. Third highest, 1 point. And the players who get the highest scores will get points according to how they finish on the table. So without any more ado, Cardinal, Tomahawk, let's get to Streets of Rage 4. So this is it, our challenge game, Streets of Rage 4, survival mode. The way we're going to be working this is once someone dies, we're going to go to Cardinal to see if we can name some games. So Cardinal, without any more waiting, hit that play button, mate. Hit it, die.
And with big anticipation, away we go. 4 screens for us all to watch,
It's
and all
wonderful.
4 of us playing Streets of Rage 4.
Yep, and
I
all of
really
us.
like how they give you this first level, this kind of like, oh, here's a wee tutorial, a warm up, sorry, as the game gives you it. And the level spawn can be completely random. Like I've got 4 cops, and Cardinal has the kickboxers. And I would argue that the kickboxers are still quite a difficult enemy, even early doors.
Yeah, they have
I
that.
found it quite a daunting start with those kickboxers. I was like, these guys fly about and
Mm-hmm.
a
They're
bit of health off me.
they are super annoying. They'll stand there and block, and then just launch into the kicks, and they'll
I
annihilate you if
also
you allow them.
I've also just realized there I used my triangle circle power up in the
Hmm.
warm up and went nope, and then just quit it and started again.
Yeah, because you don't get those back.
So,
So yes, if for those watching the video, Cardinal is Axel, or Sherry is Floyd, Tom is Adam, and I am Cherry. So why did you pick the characters you picked? Cardinal, why Axel?
Axel, classic. It took me back to the original game. Had to go for him.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. Tom,
I
Adam.
went from left to right on the character select until I found one that I liked, and then I realized he was about third in and
Hmm.
just stuck with it.
Yeah, he's a decent character. Floyd for Sherry is a strange one. In my opinion, he is the worst character in the game. He's big, he's
Okay.
slow, but he's not extremely strong. Like Max in Street Race 2 was really strong. Floyd isn't. Don't get me wrong, he's stronger than any of the other characters, but I think his strength doesn't make up for his lack of speed. I picked Cherry because Street Race 2, I always picked Skate, and Cherry is quite like Skate. She's very, very weak, but she is very, very fast, and her blitz move
Mhm.
is incredible. It is so good for getting across the screen, for extending your
Yeah.
combos, for all that sort of stuff. Cherry, I think, for me, is the best character in the game.
No, I would probably agree. You want someone that's quite quick and moving. I did use a sort of a brute class, we'll say, for one of the previous attempts, just to kind of get a feel for all the characters.
Hmm.
And what I found doing is I was sacrificing uh combo, buffs and stuff like
Hmm.
that for increasing my speed, the speed of my
Yeah.
walking. So by the end of it, I think I had about my walking speed was about 90%. So it was essentially a sprint just so I could accommodate moving across the map. And then when I died, I was just like, no, I'm not using a brute. I'm just going to go back to sort of faster hitters, really.
An all round character, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for the combos more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Same. I like the pace of this game, and I don't think you really need to worry about your walking pace in this mode. The game's pretty well balanced, but you will get boss characters, especially boss characters, will just they'll just zoom around you, and it's very, very hard to get a hit on them. So
Yeah.
it is, but it's a
I,
price to pay
a
for
lot
the
of
strength.
move spamming I noticed as well, but that could just be that boss's move set or however the AI is programmed to kind of do it in certain stages in the game, really. But I found that there was a lot of characters that just were spamming the same moves, and it was quite difficult to get any ground on them.
Every
Oh, Cherry's fighting a
boss,
boss right now.
yeah, Sherry has got a boss really, really early, and his arena is horrific. So he is fighting in the volcano caves. He's got a boss, and the floor is lined in a zigzag by the lava geysers. So they will do damage to the enemies, but also you. And that is a particularly unlucky procedurally generated
That's it. That's a
level.
bad drop, really.
Really is. He's getting absolutely hammered because even the grunts are quite strong. So he has the police with the riot shields, and that
Oh,
is
that's it?
Sherry. Yeah,
Oh my.
yeah. After 4 minutes, Sherry has, 5 minutes. Sherry has fallen on, I think it was level 4. So it is, but it was a particularly brutal. He got Estelle, who is a hard, well,
A
it's one of
very
the
hard boss, yeah.
earlier bosses, but she's deceptively tricky and quite strong. And she calls the police cars from Street Rage 1 to bombard the
Oh,
player.
yes, with rockets and stuff and grenades, yeah.
And in that level, the way it's fallen for Sherry really limited his movement options. There was really nowhere for him to go. If that was me, I would have replayed. But it's Sherry who does one and done. So Sherry got the level 4. We're still going. I think we're all pretty much on level 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. I think
I
the
think you're on.
first boss does generate around level 4, so
Yeah. So I think you're on level 4 now. Tom, me, and Cardinal one level ahead of you because we didn't restart. So we are one level ahead of you. And speaking of restarting things, Cardinal, it's time to restart
Yeah.
the competition in naming games. So bring us there, mate.
And welcome to the latest challenge of Name That Game. Sherry has bit the dust in Streets of Rage 4. Luvva and Tomahawk being very sympathetic there about the situation, the hand he was dealt. But he's also not here to defend himself. So unlucky, Sherry. Could have tried again. Maybe next time. Now, these guys are 10 points to 5. Luvva's on 10, Tomahawk's on 5. Now, we had said last week that Luvva was on 9, and he complained about that because it was factually incorrect. So we took a point off him anyway. No, not really. You're on 10. It's time for Tom to name
show
some
up
games
to
here.
them, yeah.
Show up. Now, Tom. Oh, sorry, Luvva 2. Can you name this game? This one comes just for anyone who likes to search Amazon reviews. This is Atomic Frog with a 1-star review.
Ooh.
Worst AAA title ever. The game is as much fun as having your pelvis nailed to a keg stand. This company are a joke for how all their games are released broken and buggy. In the past, they got away with it due to a loyal fan base and modders fixing the problem. But no more, I say. No forevermore. Vapid and tedious, graphically inferior with rubbish textures. 4K is a joke. Most missions are boring beyond belief. You would have more fun sticking a cardboard box on your head and careening around your home as Johnny Depp on a wild bender. Avoid like the plague. And 13 people found this review helpful.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
Gentlemen, name that game.
I'm going to throw out there, is it the Outer Worlds?
It is a good guess, and it's not the right guess.
is it Fallout 76?
It's 11-5 to Luvva. It is Fallout
Web.
76. Yes, it is. Now, this review was from 2019, a good few years ago now,
Yeah.
and the game has got
Since
more
then.
positive reviews recently. But
Yeah.
I thought I'd go back in time for that one. Well done, Luvva.
Thank you very much. He basically just said what I just said.
What we've been playing, yeah. My thought that was this Cardinal was going to be a bit clever and do like Bethesda adjacent, but there we go. No, apparently not. I'm thinking too heavily here.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think I could have read that review possibly about a few at the time of release Bethesda games, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's get back into Streets of Rage 4.
Let's go. So after that dramatic first game of Name That Game, we are back on Streets of Rage. Sherry has fallen. He fell on level 4, but Cardinal, myself, and Tomahawk are still going. Let's hope this game is a bit more competitive than what Name That Game has turned out to be. So, Cardinal, let's find out. The reason why I found out, and that's by watching it. So, we need to start talking tactics here. I had my tactics. Cardinal, what were yours? I can see you have a knife in your hand and you're giving everyone a good old poking.
I'm shanking all around me, and I've got a bit of a helper with me as well.
Yep.
And I just try and pick up whatever is going to help me get through a round. Survive is the name of the game.
Oh,
You might have seen the last round, I was in the flame level,
Mhm.
and I was using the flames to my advantage to let them damage the enemies. And that, in hindsight, that's maybe not great for my score, but I was just thinking, I just got to get through each round.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's it. Survive.
It's a solid tactic to use. I use the environment quite a bit. So I do. Tomahawk, what was yours? I see you're just lobbing
I
grenades at left, right, center.
basically I had one of the perks to have an ally at the start of every level, and I think
Mm-hmm.
she had the ability to throw grenades as well. So I was getting quite a lot of ally grenades going in and out. And I thought make the use of it. Always be using my tap forward square combo.
Mm-hmm.
Always just be pushing them in the direction of the grenades and think maximize that damage there. And I think all my other perks would basically always have an elemental damage perk
Mm-hmm.
because you can stack them and you don't lose out if you pick poison and then next one is fire. You don't lose that. You get both of them. So
Yeah.
it's always a good one to have because it stops certain characters in their tracks, like these big Hulk type characters that just sort of spin around the map or shoot fire at you.
Yeah.
They're always good just to kind of put a wee combo at them, and then the poison will slow them down or something like that. So I just was pick up all the productive ones, and then as I get further up the ladder, then start to think about damage received and damage dealt and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I had the same sort of idea as you. Every time it came to like a blitz elemental sort of thing, I would take that because my blitz move is particularly good. It's really good for starting combos, joining combos, and just moving around the map. So I was the exact same as you. Take anything that came up with a blitz move, I'm taking it, or a heavy move as well. So heavy moves are when you push and hold the square button, your character will flash. You can get
Yeah.
some environmental stuff on that as well. That was my whole tactic. Yeah, absolutely spam blitz. Get it as powerful as I can and spam blitz. I think on level 8, which has come up pretty soon for me, I reduced damage taken, but it's mostly, yeah, aggressive, sort of no passive stuff, all active buffs.
Yeah, because I can see that mine here, I have electricity and fire, so I'm hitting the uppercut combo, and then it's shocking everyone in a vicinity,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fire damage sits on the floor as well. And then now I've picked up my Cloud Strife sword,
Yes.
where I
Jeez.
think at one point I did pick a buff that increases, I think, the durability, and it increases it pretty handily early
Mm-hmm.
doors. It's like a 30% durability boost. So I'm able to carry that in multiple levels before it breaks, which I thought was
Oh,
a brilliant perk to have.
it is. It is. It's a great perk actually, especially have something like that that is really
It can
handy.
dull damage to multiple enemies at one time. But I see
Yep.
Cardinal Smith has got Shiva as a boss. He's
Shiva is a boss, and
just
he's
dispatched him as well.
that's a
I had to
difficult.
use my. It was a difficult boss. I was at half health at one point there, and I had to call on the old super move, whatever it was,
That's
twice.
that's what they're for, mate. That's what they're for. That's a
Mm.
difficult level get a boss. So that was on the aircraft carrier, which has wind. So it stops
Oh
you from
yes.
moving in one direction. That direction is randomized in this mode. Sometimes it'll blow to the left, sometimes it'll blow to the right, and it makes it really difficult to get back across if you have to, which is why I picked Cherry because that blitz move negates that. But yeah, now I'm struggling. So I have taken the point of I am at the end of every level, I'm picking up everything on the ground for points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
so right now.
I've just cleared Adam as a boss with
hmm
the bare minimum of health there. I think less than a hit point would have had me.
Oh, you
Whoa.
do right enough. So,
I had
so
the I did have to blitz a lot of my star moves just to get over the line on that one and pray that that's when I sort of realized when you clear the boss, all the other enemies fall as well. So that was a lovely revelation at that moment.
yes, yes. If you get a boss character, ignore the grunts and go for the boss. That's what I do. There's no point in risking damage when you can just be doing it to the boss and getting out of there. So
Yeah.
score check right now. Cardinals on 22,500 points. Tom, you're on 23,000 points. I'm on 17,000 points. This is what I was talking about to start. Tom is a level behind me, but he's got significantly more points than me. So
I'm in
I
a
do.
situation now where there's a lady who is kicking my ass, and I really struggle to
Yes,
predict.
she has a shockwave attack that she'll go onto one
mhm.
knee and sort of hit you with a pulse off the ground, and it's quite difficult to spot it.
To read, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
and then she does jump and dart about the map
She
quite
jumps
handily
so
as well.
far.
I'm just noticing Cardinal has picked up the buff where he has a weapon. It gives it a lightning
Yeah.
buff. So you do. I'd be using weapons all day long in that case.
I will
Well,
give
that's
the
what
credit
saved
to
me at
this
the end
game
of the
as
day
well.
there.
It was only really until survival mode that you start to notice they sort of demake the game.
It's
I imagine
brilliant.
this is a sort of nod to the original trilogy then,
So in the
but
main
even in the
game,
older versions, it looked great. Yeah.
every level has a hidden arcade machine. If you punch the arcade machine, then you'll get pulled back into Street Rage 1, Street Rage 2, or Street Rage 3, where it takes the graphical style of those
Oh,
games.
class.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great touch. I think the arcade machines are called Bare Knuckle as well.
And
Oh,
with
Cardinals.
that,
Did you just throw yourself off the
Yeah,
map?
he jumped off.
the the environment kicked me off. Like I had almost full health. I had stars, and the flames on the ground flung me out of the ring, and it just said simulation over. I'm not even sure even now why or what happened.
So every time you fall off the level, I think it takes a quarter of your health. So if you get knocked off the level and you don't have that required health, then you'll die. If you do have more than that, it'll just throw you back onto the level. And it's one of those ones. So this game has a mechanic. I don't know if you noticed this, Tom. If you take damage or if you use a super move, your health bar will decrease, but it will go
Yep.
green, and you have to
So
rally, and
you
you'll
can,
get your health
yeah,
back if you attack.
that was a really, really good function. I tried to avoid it when I realized how much I was spamming those triangle attacks and then kind of not rallying.
Mm-hmm.
So I did avoid those moves a lot in this mode because I didn't really want to be caught out. Plus, I also had a buff that gave me 40% extra damage as long as my health was at 100%.
Yeah, I took that as well. And I also took I think it's called Last Hurrah, where you'll do 30% more damage if your health is 50% or lower. So you want
Yeah.
both because your health isn't going to stay full for very long, not in this mode. But Cardinal has fallen, which
Yeah.
the good news for you, Cardinal, is that means you're getting at least 1 point because you beat Sherry in distance gone. And you've also beat him in score as well. So at least 2 points.
3 times the score. It's the
That's
first time
it.
I've ever played the game too. But good effort.
It is what it is. Do you want to bring us to name that game for the second one?
I do. Let's go, gents.
Let's go. Boop.
All right, folks. Welcome back. Devastated. Absolutely ruined in Streets of Rage 4. Should have got further. Would have got further. Something in the environment caught me out. But I'll stop talking about it. I'll let it go.
Could have tried again.
Yeah. And this review, okay, comes from Amazon Buyer. And they give the game a 1 star out of 5. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's listen in to see what they thought. I purchased the game with an Xbox Series X. I experience constant crashes every few hours. I also experience bugs that require me to load a save from a previous day because it blocks the progression of the main quest line, losing many hours of my time. I end up returning the Xbox Series X, and I would have returned the game too if it was refundable. I am thoroughly upset that such a broken game was released, wasting my time and my money. Gentlemen, please name that game.
When was the review?
That's a clue.
I hope I can catch him out on that one. Is it Cyberpunk?
It is not Cyber.
Ah,
Is it Starfield?
Oh, you have named that game, Mr. Luvva Luvva. It is, of course, Another Bethesda classic
It
release
is.
Starfield
in
was
Starfield.
my other, like, it was the two sides of that coin there. It was like, it's gonna be Cyberpunk. Because he said he originally bought it for the Xbox, and that was my sort of thinking there.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, maybe he then bought it for the PlayStation as well. And PC never even,
Oh,
yeah,
love what you were
never
saying.
did.
Oh, you know what? He'll not say Starfield on a
Oh,
PlayStation podcast. He'll not do it.
here we are.
Yes, I would.
I hate this
We're
game.
going to the Bethesda library, ladies and gentlemen. And Luvva knows it. The score is now 12-5.
I was looking for patterns.
Let's
And I
carry
think
on.
I found it.
What's the next one going to be? Wait and find out.
Can't wait.
Oh dear.
So, name my game is proven to be a little bit one-sided. This challenge on Street Rage 4, however, is not. It is pretty close between myself and Tomahawk. The last two standing. Let's see who's going to fall next. And you can talk me through what your game plan is from this level, because from this point on, we are, 17 minutes into this challenge-ish. And from level 10, the difficulty significantly increases. The levels get far more complex. So right now you're fighting on one that has a big, massive crusher in the middle and
Yeah.
a conveyor belt to bring it into the crusher. I am on the aircraft carrier with the wind, and yep, things aren't going particularly great. Score check for me is 38,000. You're on 50,000. So even that is a big old gap. And I am struggling.
Yes, I had a revelation in some of my playthroughs that I was trying to remember some of the characters' names, but it's the ones that had the sunglasses on and they were shirtless and had jeans and a chain. I think they're called Raymond or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted a map full of Raymonds because they're so easy to kill and they usually just flood the map
Yep.
and they're great for points, to be fair. I wanted them every level that it was available to me. And they did show up for the most part, but and then they have like different tiers of that person as well, and then every so often they get slightly more difficult. But yeah, I just was trying to manage resources really and make sure that I was smashing jars but not needlessly consuming health unless I had to. And
Okay.
then especially with some of these bosses and some of the sumo wrestlers coming in, get everyone piled into the corner and then just juggle them essentially.
Unleash Fury. Yeah. So you're currently fighting Max as a boss. Not
Oh, it was frustrating.
not an easy boss. Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
at this point, I have my 40% damage for full health. So every time I take a hit, I'm straight into an apple or a chicken and getting that buff
Mhm.
re-energized. Because I noticed the second you take any damage, that buff grays out on your health bar.
Yeah, it
So I was
stops.
always aware, always very, very conscious of it, where it needed to be. And it was like, as long as I can be taking maximum damage and clear the rounds as quick as I could. That was the game plan.
Yeah. So you're on level 17, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17. You're in the caves where Sherry fell, but your geezers have spawned in a much more
Friendly location, yeah.
yes, right in the middle in an X. I'm currently fighting in a boxing ring with a big hole in the middle, just fighting loads and loads of cops. I think I'm on level 16 here.
I loved that arena, the boxing ring, because it has a few variations where they'll always sort of have a hole in the ground, but sometimes the ropes, the
Mhm.
laser grid will disappear.
Kick
So
them
if you
off.
put a good combo in, you could just kick them all off.
Yep.
It was great.
I find a wee exploit here, so I do for Barnaby. And just I realize if I run and jump at the edge of the hole, then my move will connect. He can't hit me, and I can't go anywhere. And I'm just draining his energy with the poison buff.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I noticed as well that it's not necessarily about just getting stuck in and, hitting mad combos. You can take as much or as little time as you want on the enemies
Mhm.
and, sort of learn their, to a degree, you can learn as much as their patterns as you can, but
Yep.
you don't have to go in guns blazing, which is quite nice for this kind of genre of game.
Yeah, your movement's really important because you can sort of sidestep attacks of a lot of enemies, especially bosses. If you just move around them at the right time, they'll completely miss you and leave themselves open for you to sort of riposte. Um,
Yeah.
so I do. So I am on the ship from Street Rage 2, and I have a boss, and it is two Mr. X's, which is, of course, the final boss from Street Rage 1 and 2 and 3. So I have
Classic.
two final bosses, and one of my buffs that I took in a couple of levels earlier was I have a buddy, and then the next level I was able to upgrade the level of buddy, so I have a pretty good, pretty strong buddy, and that
Oh,
is.
you've one of the cops as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
they've got different level tiers as well.
Yep.
I have a few of these big pistol wielding suits,
Yep.
and they were quite annoying as well. But I thought to myself, I had cleared a few sort of high leveled enemies there, and thought to myself, right, that's the end. I'm gonna get ready to move on. But they just kept coming. There didn't seem to be an end in sight for this round, but
Yeah.
and I'm
Yes.
getting dangerously low on health again.
You're on level 17 still, and your health is running very, very low.
And this is the panic stations where I realized that I have got nothing, and the only buffs they give me were gold weapons.
Weapons. The gold weapons are a decent buff,
The,
but
and
you.
I had a good, I did have a good buff to allow for extra damage, but
Ooh.
with no health,
Oh,
it's yeah, there's very little I could have been done in that. I knew going in, I was like, just get that extra level. There
Yeah.
wasn't much more I could do beyond that then.
Yeah, it's once you start falling behind on your health at the end of a level, your life is hard.
Especially my tactic was smash the boxes and then leave the items lying because they don't
Hmm.
disappear. But that level spawned a single item or
Yeah.
breakable, so it just that's the way it fell. But 60,004 points, so I'm quite happy with that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's quite good. Level 18 you got to. And yeah, as you said, 60,004 points. So just to recap before we go back to name that game, the state of play is Sherry got the level 4, got 8,882 points. Cardinal got the level 10, and he's on 24,104, which picks him up 2 points. So one for coming third in uh one to coming third in the level. And so far you're second in score. Tom, you're gonna get at least 2 points for your level. At the time you fell, I was on level 17, so I'm still a level behind you. And you're getting at least 2 points for your score as well. So there only is one person left standing, and it is me. But before we see how far I get, how high my score can climb, Cardinal, we have that little obstacle of the third name that game. So let's get there.
Could we not? Let's just skip it.
Let's hope
Keep going.
Tom.
Streets to Rage.
Let's hope Tom can name a game
uh,
because this, if he doesn't, it'll be 2 weeks in a row.
Two whitewashes. Can't have it.
you say this. I just want to say that Final Fantasy 16, you've just released a DLC, and I'm so close to finishing it. And we just don't need to release more content. Just let me finish it. Anyway, over to name that game. Okay, folks. So this is round 3, the final round, you might say, of Name the Game, because there's 3 rounds each time, and this is the third. Okay? The scores are 12-5 in the favour of Mr. Luvva Luvva, and this is the third review. So the theme of these reviews has been common, and let's have a look at our third. This is a review from Customer, and they give the game 1 star out of 5. After the initial novelty of the first few missions wear off, it becomes painfully obvious the game abusively wash, rinse, and repeats to the point it's infuriating. The story is dull and drawn out. I wanted to give this game a shot because all the original hype that first surrounded it, seeing how I missed it at the first time around, and now I honestly kind of regret making the purchase. Sad face. Gentlemen, with that pretty broad review, can you name that game?
Skyrim.
It's not.
Ah.
Oh, he's in. He's in. Is it? Is it? Elder Scrolls Online.
No.
Play for the clue. Play for the clue.
Okay.
Hmm.
Play for the clue. So this was not a Bethesda game.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Was it? Was it? Was it? Things. The game. Trying to think of all the games that we have already had, and Cardinal's guaranteed to repeat himself. I don't know. Not Bethesda.
Let me give you
is
another
quite
clue.
yeah,
Let me give
not
you
Bethesda
another
is a
clue.
very broad clue.
It is. Let me just point this out. This review was from 2020, but it's a game from 2011. So that's why they're referring to I missed out on the original hype.
Yeah. Doesn't really help. I mean, Skyrim was
Is
from
it?
2011.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, is it like New Vegas? But that's, I think, even earlier again.
2010.
2010. Looked up.
Oh, I don't know. This is quite a toughie
A
one.
remake of a game from 2011. I'm going to guess I'm wrong. Is it Bulletstorm?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This is really annoying now. So he's come back to this series, having missed out. I was gonna say, is it like GTA or something? But I can't even place a date on them. So
2013 was 5.
yeah,
2007 was 4.
just not in that catchment. I'm gonna pass then. I'm not. I can't get dates on this
Name
one.
a game.
I'll have to name a game.
Name any game.
But GTA 4 then. Incorrect.
That's a great guess. And it's not right.
Yeah, I thought that.
This review is against the grain massively. There is 1% of reviews give it a 1-star review.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay. So
It's a beloved franchise then.
I didn't. There's no idea. There's been no mention of franchise.
No, there hasn't.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I will say, Tomahawk, you guessed GTA 4, and you have the right publisher.
It's Red Dead Redemption.
It's not 2011.
It's not Red Dead Redemption.
It's not.
That's a
No.
good guess, though.
It's not 2011. I try to think of Take-Two games that released in 2011 and was
Rockstar.
remade. I have no idea. Rockstar games. Max Payne 3?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's on the right lines, but it's not there.
Oh, I
Let me
know
give
what it
you
is. I know what it
Let me
is.
give you a last little clue, okay? It was made famous by its big feature, which
L.A. Noire.
was reading facial expressions. It is indeed L.A. Noire. Tom, how'd you get it?
Stop the rot. Just 360 era. I was just like, it's gotta be something that was different, but like had to stem. In my head, it was like has to be something in between the GTA titles, and had to sort of stem the tide until something came up. As soon as you said Max Payne 3, I was like, something else came, and then just LA Noire came to my head because it was so different, but also brilliant.
It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
I like.
I have no idea what this person's doing. Giving it a 1-star review.
I-
That's ridiculous.
Well,
I think the remaster I don't think it's aged particularly well as a game, but
It ran terribly on the 360. Like,
Did it?
oh yeah,
Oh,
it ran awful on
I think
360.
at the time it played really good, and that sort of mechanic of trying to read people. I was terrible at it, by the way. I would always like sit there. I just doubt everything, and then apparently that's not what you're supposed to do. You're actually
No,
supposed to like play the game that way. But
I really
uh,
enjoyed it.
I did. I loved it.
It was really good.
But I've
DLC.
stopped the rot. I've stopped the
you
rot.
stopped
That's
the run. 12
five in a
6.
row, and
12-6. Ooh.
You stopped him getting the 7 in a row crack again.
wish I couldn't live with that. The name of the game is Subsidiary, so he's not as boastful about it.
I mean, no,
Could
but
be if he gets the chance.
I will be. Don't you
Yeah.
worry. Once it hits a point where Tom can no longer catch me, don't you worry about it. And speaking of Tom not being able to catch me, let's get back to Streets of Rage, where I'm the last man standing. So, after Tom's shocking naming that gaming, finally, after nearly 2 weeks of not naming the games, he's making a comeback. But he can't make a comeback in.
Did it?
He can't make a comeback on this. Tom, you dropped out at level 18, but I'm also seeing that your best ever record is level 24.
No. So level 18 is the new record. Level 24 is the next
Oh, your next checkpoint for an
bonus.
achievement
Yeah.
for points and stuff. Right. So we are going to rejoin Mang a little bit down the road because a few of these levels took me quite some time to complete. We are joining me about halfway through level 20. Level 20. And we're just going to watch
Yeah.
through what I do. It is this level goes on for a long old time, so it does, and so did 19, and so did 18. They were a struggle. My health is about a quarter left. We'll just hit play, Cardinal, and we'll see where this one takes us. So at this point of my run, I was not in panic mode, but I realized that I was starting to fall behind when it comes to health, and that is a very, very, very dangerous place to be. The boss character here is Mr. Y, and there are two of them because I
You had
had
3 bosses at one stage I saw on the map
no.
there.
One of
You
them
had...
was my buddy.
Oh, okay.
So it was Mr. Y, because I had a buddy of a certain level, then it spawns two of every boss. And that's why a lot of these ones took me a very, very, very long time. But I'm having to ration the apples and sort of take advantage of level sort of hazards like the fire and this big ball. But Mr. Y is a right pain because he has all these, he's got a full arsenal of guns. He's got rocket launchers,
Yes.
shotguns, pistols. He's an absolute nightmare.
He has this ability as well to sort of jump in diagonals, which a lot of the guys I've noticed don't really do. Everything seems to be in like straight lines, whereas he can traverse the entire map in one leap as well.
Yep. And he killed himself by trying to attack me, going through my going through my character and hitting laser ropes and killing
Oh,
himself.
fantastic.
So that is level 20 completed. I struggled with what sort of buff to take because I realize I'm in big trouble here. I've got about a tiny slither of health, an even smaller slither of what I can reclaim through attacking, and now I'm just looking for apples. But I now have these like holographic enemies, which are really, really powerful. And there's three of them, and there is a laser in the middle, and now I'm just absolutely spamming
It's
bliss.
survival mode. It's real time now.
Yep, absolutely.
They're so quick as well. Like the actual
Yeah.
movement of the AI is insane at the minute.
Yeah, and my buddy has proven to be not much help. In fact, he's gone. He is gone, just such as the level of these enemies. They have absolutely decimated my buddy. So now I'm just utilizing my stars,
Oh,
and I didn't even see that attack coming. She literally headbutts you from across the arena with a charging headbutt. And
I know they blindside you as soon as you see it too late. It was me with my Bloodborne runs. you nearly watch it happen in slow
Mm-hmm.
motion and you
Yeah.
can't react.
As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh no, because it was halfway through the attack, and there's no getting out of that sort of mess. Um, once you get distracted by one or two enemies, and you lose track of one of them, you're in a whole world of pain. So you are.
Hmm.
But anyway, that is me. Level 21 is where I got to, and my score was 71,187. So we'll talk about what that means for the league. We'll talk about what it means for standings and points, etc. But yeah, Streets of Rage 4. That challenge was hard. Really, really,
Yes.
really hard.
It was.
I mean,
It was, but it was more of the one of the more fun
Yeah, there's no
efforts.
prep for it as well because it's so random. Like I think we did say at the time, there is the challenge of the week, or there's just the random sim. And I think the
mhm,
random sim, as fun as it was, because it threw that element of surprise in at every level, whereas you could practice
mhm.
the run of the week if needs be. So I was all for this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll talk about our wee closing thoughts and see if we'll play it again. Uh, we'll get there now. So yeah, Streets of Rage. Cardinal, talk to me about it. Will you play Streets of Rage again?
Yes, I bought the game specifically for the challenge, but also with the idea that I'd actually try and play it. I I presume it does have a single
Yes.
or a
It
story,
does.
so I will no doubt get to that. I do intend to get that. I've left it installed on the PS5.
Beautiful. 2 weeks in a row. Cardinal is planning to play the game again and not deleting it off the PlayStation. Tomahawk, what about you, mate?
Shocker.
I have three more missions left of the story, and then I kind of want to try the boss rush mode on it as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I would definitely play it again. I probably will play it again on the survival because seeing the difference in our scores and our level, I think I have it in me to have potentially gone one better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in the past now, so it doesn't really it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that game. I actually genuinely think of all the side scrollers I have played, there isn't many. This one has a place in the library for the long run.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really good game. I think it's honestly the best side scroller ever made for a number of reasons. The single player mode's really good. You the further you get in it, the more characters you'll unlock. So you'll unlock like Street Rage 2, Axel, Blaze, Max, Skate, and you can unlock boss characters as well to control play with them as well. So
Okay.
it's a really good game. I absolutely love it. It's been installed on my PlayStation since I bought it, and I bought it dev release. And then I bought the Mr. X's Nightmare dev release. I think it's really, really good. I think it's a great, great, great game. And it doesn't get the credit it deserves because of the genre it's in.
It's so simple as well. Like even the story is basically just like, oh, he's escaped. Let's just go fight him and fight all his goons.
Yes.
And you just do it in different settings. Like it shows that games don't have to be super convoluted
No.
plots, especially in like the genre that we are talking about. That plot is not necessarily essential to the gameplay.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, Street Rage 1, 2, and 3, the story was told in a text crawl to start and then a still screen cutscene at the
Okay.
end with more text crawling up. The storyline in this one's way better. It's still anime and comic booky,
Yeah.
but the story is actually quite good. I thought the two bosses at the end of the game are excellent as well. Really good spectacles. I just think it's a really, really good game. I think it deserves way more credit than what it gets. It's Street Rage 4. Buy it if you haven't. But anyway, what does this mean then for the league table? Who's getting points? So we'll start off with levels. So Cardinal, you're getting 1 point for coming third. Sherry's came fourth, so he gets nothing. Tom, you get 2 points for coming second, and I get 3 points for coming first. With points, it's exactly the same. Sherry came fourth. Cardinal, you came third, so you get 1 point. Tom, you came second, you get 2 points, and I came first, so therefore I get 3 points. So that means Sherry finishes that challenge with no points. Cardinal, you finish it with two. Tom, you finish it with 4, and I finish with 6. So the league table now looks like this. In 4th place, still on 12 points, Sherry. In 3rd place, on 20 points, is Cardinal. In 2nd place, on 27 points, is Tomahawk. And in 1st, on 30, is myself. I've extended
away
that
again.
lead. Extended it. It's one challenge win. It's one challenge win ahead. I wouldn't say it's pulling away, but it is getting a wee bit of a gap again. And there is, what, 3 more challenges left.
I say VAR review. Did we agree to include points
Yeah.
as an extra bonus?
Yes.
Not sure, but I think what we did agree on was moving out 2 to include challenges completed as a team.
I doubt that very much. In fact, it was actually on the podcast. I made sure to keep it in there in the edit. And I also made sure to keep the absolute cheating me out of a point on Name That Game last week in the edit as well. But after the final credits roll, I was like, don't know what? I knew those boys were cheating me out of points.
As
This
we
has to
said,
stop.
It's going to independent
And
commission,
you still got them.
and that independent commission will adjourn 2 weeks after the season's concluded.
Yeah.
Where their
And it involves
hands,
everyone except Luvva.
their hands will be tied, and they'll be able to do nothing about it. And it'll make this win even sweeter, boys. But yes, Street Rage 4. It's done very little for the league other than boost everyone's points, apart from Mr. Sherry's, because Mr. Sherry's one and done sort of nature with the challenges is starting to catch up with him, I think is the best way of putting it.
It works with COD,
It does.
That's
but
it. If it's an FPS,
we have not
then
played
he's
COD.
golden.
It does. It does. But that leaves us then with just a few things left to say. So let's get to the wrap up section. That is it, gentlemen. Episode 9 is all wrapped up. Another challenge win for Luvva. Another 0-point week for Sherry. He needs to pick up his game. Tomahawk, you're falling behind. Cardinal, I don't know what's going on with you this season. You're not playing like a former champion. Maybe we have to look into season 1 and see if there's any transgressions that should have been picked up on before now. We'll look into it. We'll get the independent board to look into that for you. Don't you worry, mate.
Thanks. Thanks.
That just leaves us.
But
he's got something to say.
Oh,
no, I'm just saying, what episode 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
There's still 1, 2, 3 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out of the running.
Not yet.
technically, no one's out the running, but we don't want to count. Nobody wants to count chickens.
No. We count chickens when the roasting is done, as they say. Well, I'm presuming someone says that somewhere. If you say that,
Right, yeah.
send us an email to highscoreshighstakes@gmail.com. But yes, that leaves me with just a few things left to say then. We'll start off with next week's challenge game. And next week's challenge game is a Cardinal Smith special, a racing game. And it is Need for Speed Unbound. So that is next.
Let's just say this is a John Sherry pick. Well, this is John Sherry's the only person who's played this game.
He is.
So technically he should be the favorite.
He should be. Sherry, I know you're listening to this. No pressure, mate. And then that leads us to say what the question of the week and what the poll of the week are. So the question of the week this week has been inspired by Matt Davis by saying we should be playing Sifu. So question of the week this week is linked to last week's, and it is what challenge games would you like to see us compete in the future? So tell us if you have a game you think, you know what, those boys should be competing in that. Let us know. Answer the question is in just down below in the description. And our poll of the week then, because we just played Street Rage 4, scroll and beat 'em up is a genre I love very, very, very dearly. And I want to know what everyone's favourite scroll and beat 'em up series is. So you have 4 choices. First one is obviously going to be Streets of Rage, the correct answer. The second one is TMNT, so Turtles, Final Fight, or Golden Axe. So cast your vote in the poll below. And with all that being said, a quick recap where you can find us on the internet: highstakes.com. There you'll find all of our links to Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Discord, and YouTube. Make sure you get to YouTube. Make sure you watch Cardinal Smith's highly edited, expertly edited Civilization 6 updates, which is, of course, our season-long challenge. And if you remember, like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend. And with all of that being said, I don't believe I've forgotten anything this week.
No, all good.
Perfect. Beautiful work. I'm getting professional at this.
You're
Podcasting.
right. That's it.
So, as always, I've been Mr. Luvva Luvva. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. See you on Monday. Love you all. Bye.
What about you?